May 1st, 2026. Mark that date in your calendar right now, because if you are a landlord, a tenant, or even thinking about renting out or renting a property in England, everything you thought you knew about the rental system is about to change overnight. This is not a slow reform. This is not a gentle adjustment. This is the biggest shake-up to rental law in nearly 40 years, and it all begins at midnight on May 1st under the new Renters' Rights Act. If you ignore this, it could cost you thousands of pounds, or in the worst-case scenario, it could leave you without a home. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into what is being called the Big Bang moment for the English rental market. And trust me, this is not hype. This is real, and it is happening in less than 3 months. The headline change is the abolition of Section 21 evictions. For decades, Section 21 allowed landlords to evict tenants without giving any reason at all. You could have paid your rent on time for 5 years, kept the property spotless, never caused a single issue, and still receive a 2-month notice telling you to leave. That power disappears completely on May 1st. From that date forward, landlords in England can no longer use no-fault evictions. Section 21 is gone. But it doesn't stop there. Every single assured short-hold tenancy in England automatically converts into a rolling periodic tenancy on May 1st. That means even if you signed a 3-year fixed-term contract in April, it transforms into a monthly rolling agreement overnight. The fixed term effectively evaporates. This is not just for new tenancies, it applies to all existing ones as well. Now here is where the tension begins. Landlords are not reacting calmly to this. According to the National Residential Landlords Association, only 8% of landlords plan to invest in new properties this year. That is a record low. At the same time, 41% say they are planning to sell within the next 12 months. Property finance firm Black and White Bridging estimates that 93,000 buy-to-let landlords exited the market in 2025 alone. The year before, 65,000 left. That is more than 150,000 landlords gone in just 2 years. And when landlords sell, tenants get displaced. Government data shows over 12,000 households needed homelessness support last year, simply because their landlords sold the property. So while tenants are gaining stronger legal protections, the supply side of the market is shrinking at the same time. Let's break down what actually changes on May 1st. First, Section 21 is abolished. If a landlord has already served a Section 21 notice before May 1st, they must begin court proceedings by July 31st, 2026, or that notice becomes invalid. After May 1st, all evictions must go through Section 8, which requires a legally defined reason. Landlords can no longer simply decide they want the property back without justification. The government has introduced a specific ground for landlords who genuinely want to sell. Under this rule, they must provide 4 months' notice, and they cannot use this ground within the first 12 months of a tenancy. On top of that, if they evict a tenant claiming they are selling, they cannot re-let the property for 12 months. If they do, they face fines of up to £40,000. That is a serious deterrent against abusing the system. However, for landlords dealing with rent arrears, the process becomes slower. Currently, being 2 months behind on rent can trigger eviction proceedings. From May 1st, that threshold increases to 3 months of arrears, and the notice period extends to 4 weeks. In practice, that could mean a landlord waits 4 months without rent before even reaching court. And this brings us to what many believe is the weak point of the entire reform: the courts. At the moment, possession hearings already take 8 to 12 weeks. Experts are warning that after May 1st, when every eviction requires a court hearing, waiting times could stretch to 15 to 18 weeks. The Housing Select Committee has warned that the court system risks becoming overwhelmed. Scotland implemented similar reforms back in 2017, and their court struggled under the increased pressure. England may be walking into the same situation. Now let's talk about rent increases, because this is another huge shift. From May 1st, every rent review clause written into tenancy agreements becomes unenforceable. The only legal way to increase rent will be through a formal statutory process. Landlords must give at least 2 months' notice, can only increase rent once per year, and the rent must reflect the market rate. Tenants can challenge increases at a tribunal, and crucially, the tribunal cannot set the rent higher than what the landlord proposed. Previously, tenants risked ending up with an even higher rent by challenging it. That risk is gone. There is also a complete ban on rental bidding wars. In recent years, especially in major cities, tenants were effectively forced into mini auctions, offering above the advertised rent to secure a property. That practice becomes illegal. Landlords must advertise a fixed rent and cannot accept offers above it. But these May 1st reforms are only phase 1. Phase 2 begins in late 2026 with a mandatory private rented sector database. Every landlord must register themselves and every property they own, paying an annual fee. If they fail to register, they cannot obtain possession orders through the courts. By 2028, all landlords must join a new private rented sector ombudsman scheme, giving tenants access to binding dispute resolution for issues like maintenance complaints and deposit disputes. Then comes phase 3. By October 2030, every rental property must achieve an energy performance certificate rating of C or above. Currently, 52% of rental properties do not meet that standard. That is roughly 2.9 million homes requiring upgrades. The average cost per property ranges from £5,400 to £8,000. Multiply that across the sector, and you are looking at around £20 billion in investment. Failure to comply could result in fines of up to £30,000 per property. From 2035, the Decent Home Standard will apply to private rentals, with maximum fines of £40,000 for non-compliance. Awab's law, which sets strict deadlines for addressing hazards such as damp and mold, is also expected to extend into the private sector. Now many people are asking, will all this push rents through the roof? Interestingly, forecasts are relatively moderate. Rightmove predicts around 2% rent growth in 2026. Zoopla forecasts about 2.5%. That is far below the double-digit increases seen in 2022 and 2023. Net migration has dropped sharply over 2 years, reducing demand pressure. Buy-to-let mortgage rates have eased, and some new investment activity continues. It is important to note that these reforms primarily apply to England. Scotland already abolished no-fault evictions in 2017. Wales operates under a different framework, and Northern Ireland has its own system entirely. So what should you do? If you are a tenant, understand your new rights. You will have greater security, protection against unfair rent increases, and stronger rights around pets and discrimination. Families with children and tenants receiving benefits gain explicit protection from discrimination. If you are a landlord, this is the time to get professional advice. Understand Section 8 grounds. Prepare for digital tax reporting. Plan for EPC upgrades. Waiting until April would be a mistake. The deeper issue here is the balance between tenant protection and housing supply. The reforms address real injustices. Section 21 caused genuine hardship. Families were uprooted and tenants were often afraid to report poor conditions. But at the same time, landlord sales have become the leading reason tenancies end. Former buy-to-let properties now represent a growing share of homes listed for sale. The most important number to watch after May 1st will not just be rent growth, it will be total rental stock. If supply continues to shrink, finding a home could become even harder, regardless of stronger legal protections. May 1st, 2026 is an inflection point. The English rental market will not look the same the next morning. It could be the beginning of a fairer system. It could also trigger short-term chaos as courts, landlords, and tenants adjust. What is certain is this: the Big Bang date is real, and the countdown has already begun. If you found this breakdown useful, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next major housing update. This story is far from over, and we will be tracking every development.